Hello everybody and welcome back to Chris Aquatics. In today's video we're back at the aquarium rack and we're setting up another tank for Caridina shrimp. So I thought I'd do a bit of an in-depth guide on how I'm going to set this up and try to not use as much money as possible so it's a bit more beginner friendly, but still going with the things that you need for Caridina shrimp that you can't really go past. So let's get into it. Everything I'm using today in this video is going to be fairly budget friendly, so hopefully it's a bit easier for you guys to be able to replicate this. This light, for example, I got it off Amazon. I don't remember the exact price for it, but I'll have the link to that one down in the description for the exact light I'm using. And the substrate that you can't really go past, so Aqua Soil Amazonia. With the gold writing, guys, you have to probably have this. In most situations, this is the best bet for your Caridina shrimp to get the best success, so you can't really go past it. I got this from my local pet store. I paid about 20 something dollars for it, 25 bucks for it Australian. So I'll leave a link to this down in the description for Amazon as well, but you can probably get it from the local pet store. They're starting to phase this one out to the part 2 version, so try to get your hands on this before it goes out of stock. Now, as for the fish tank, it's nothing special. It's a bit of a small tank. It's the same tank I'm using down here for my shrimp breeders, but these are just a different brand. These are like the Kmart brand in Australia, like the no-name kind of brand really. And this is a bit more higher up, I think, Imagitarium sort of vibe. I've had Imagitarium tanks like this, I think, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100%. I got this off Marketplace. I paid about 20 bucks for it. Came with a light and some gravel and a filter and a heater. We're not using those things, but we've got the tank for that. For filtration, I've got 2 of these sponge filters. I've never used these ones before, but they were for $8 on clearance each at the local pet store, so I ended up getting both of them. I'm going to do a tally at the end of this video to how much money we've spent on this tank. Finally, you're going to need airline tubing, so these are 4 meters each, and I have 2 of them. I paid $10 at the local pet store for this, just so I have a bit extra, but I'm definitely not going to use this much. Lastly, you'll be needing an air pump. I have so many of these lying around, so I didn't go out and buy this. But you can probably pick one up for about 15-20 bucks. This is by Bucephalandra, the HD601. I'll put a link to this down in the description as well. I also thought I'd mention that I watched a video online, credit to Mark Shrimp Tanks for this. This is where I'm using this from. He said that you should use rice brands, so I'm gonna be adding some of this in this video and measuring it out to the exact amount of soil I use. Got it from Amazon, so I think about 10 bucks. I'll put a link to this down in the description as well. Firstly, before we set up, I'd like to explain that this tank's secondhand. It's not perfectly clean. I've scrubbed every angle of it to my best ability. It's not the most clearest view, but it's not exactly meant to be expensive either. This is a budget-friendly sort of video, so I just thought I'd make that disclaimer before starting. So, firstly, you want to measure out for about 500 mils of your aqua soil. 88 Amazonia gold, or however you want to put it. Now for the 500 grams, I'm going to add 2 of these scoops of the rice bran. I'm going to slope this sort of towards the back, as I want there to be an opening at the front of the tank for where I'm going to feed the shrimp on a clear flat base without any substrate. So I'm trying to put it sort of towards the middle, like so. Just add the 2 scoops at the back, like that. Now I'm going to get my aqua soil and get this inside and slowly pour it on top of the rice bran. Sort of like so. Just let it pile up. And let it all come out just like that. I'm going to also section the sponge filter to be perfectly centered just down the middle of the tank. Won't be able to stick this at the moment because we don't have any water, but this is how we want to do it. Just pop it right there. I've seen some people use a bowl or a little container of some sort to put extra soil in the front. I'm going to use these instead. I got them off Amazon. It was $12 for the 2. I'm going to just pop them in the back in these left and right corner, just like so. I'd also like to mention, I put the 88 Amazonia at the back like this in a big pile, as I want it to cover the rice bran, and as the tank ages and add shrimp, they'll spread it out for me. Now I'm gonna move this up to the rack as it'll be a lot harder when we have water in it. So let's just do that real quick. Now making my Aura water is a bit interesting. I have the in where we're gonna have the good water, and that's me. And we have the out. I use this to water my plants. I have my Aura water unit down here next to my ponds, and I use this outside because it's the only tap I have that works. If you have a question of what this one is, I'll leave a link to that one down in the description. But just gonna start making some Aura water. And that's the good pure stuff right there. Also for that just extra boost to grow some algae, I'm going to use a bit of sort of a shrimp powder. It's more of a shrimp 8, but I just want it in the tank like that. I don't really care where it goes, it'll get spread out either way. And I'm just going to use 2 of them. So we're also going to be adding 2 of these with the soil in it. I'm going to go start with this much and go from there. But let's try not to make a mess while trying to install these to the back wall. Like that. That's one done. We're going to add the second one. I have the tank towards the side because otherwise adding this is just not possible. Just like that. Along the back wall. Turn the tank around. Okay, so we have both the side parts set up. I'm just gonna call these like sort of like hanging pots, really. I thought this would be a different alternative to putting something on the base, so we have more space to see the shrimp. So we're gonna keep it like this, and I'm gonna fill it up with Aura water now. So we're gonna go into a bit of a time lapse for that one. Okay, so it's day 2, the tank's completely full of RO, and we haven't turned on the filter yet. I wanted it to settle overnight first, as there's still a little bit of soil floating on the top of the water, but that's okay. I'm gonna pop on the filter and we'll see how it looks. So just to give this tank an extra kick in the cycle, I'm going to just quickly get a sponge filter from another tank and just squeeze out all the goodness into this big setup. So I've got here. Just like that. And this will cycle through. I don't mind if I'm dirtying the tank doing this, because we're not adding anything for about a week. Just like that. Nice and easy. Okay, so the tank is basically set up fully now. So we've got the sponge filter wrung out into the tank, made it a bit more dirtier, but it's going to start and slowly clear up, as you can clearly tell. And it's going to be a lot faster for the cycle of this tank. So I've got a couple plants coming in the mail next week, so we're going to pop ahead to that and I'll show you what we got. Okay guys, so it's been about a month since I set this tank up, and you can see by the look of the tank it is very green. So we're going to be setting this up for Caridina shrimp. It's already set up obviously, but we need to scrub down the glass, which is completely covered in this kind of dust algae, and the water is very cloudy as well. So we're going to start working on this tank. I have RO water made. Let's get started. So it's kind of just getting a scraper and going up and down these walls. The angle that I have with this sort of stand is not as easy, but you can kind of tell straight away the amount of gunk that's on these walls. We want this, but we don't want all of it, as it's going to just be a big problem. You want to be able to see in your tank, so this is getting rid of a start of it, and then I can go back afterwards and go up through the rest. So the razor wasn't cutting it, we're going to use this instead, and we're just going to go against the glass. And it's a bit hard to see, and it's not as satisfying because the glass is already green and the water's green too, so you can't really tell, but the majority of it is coming off, which is good. So I'm going to work on this for a little bit and we'll be back. Alright, so the front glass is completely clear of algae. You can see all this dusk algae that is floating through the tank that we're going to be water changing out. So let's start with the water change time lapse. Okay, so after water changing the tank, we've done about half, just over half. You can see the back filter's covered in all this slime. It's like the like dust algae, I guess you could call it. I don't even know what these things are called, eh? And there's algae on the side glass. I'm leaving these on. I'm gonna see how this looks when the tank's filled up. Maybe I'll get rid of it, but I think the shrimp would enjoy eating that, so we'll just get rid of the rest of the water and do the full water change about 90% or so. Alright, so now that the tank is almost empty, we're going to stop with the water change here. And you can see the water's still a bit green. What I'm going to do to deal with this is floating plants are really great to make your water clearer. So we're going to use floaters to get rid of that. As for the filter, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I kind of want to just leave it. I think it looks cool. Maybe not the main tube, it looks a bit weird. I might get rid of some of the sludge on the main tube, but yeah, I'm going to start refilling it up now. Okay, so after letting the tank sit, you can see there's a couple of different streaks where I need to go back in and stuff, but it's a lot more clearer now. We can sort of see what we're doing, but it's still not the greatest. I'm gonna add some floating plants to the tank, and hopefully it starts to clear up in the next couple of days, and we can add some shrimp soon. So I've added it to the tank. It's a bit hard to see because of where the tank is, but you can kind of see them. Hopefully they're going to start clearing up this water and pulling out all the green, because I've seen videos of people that have green water and they get rid of it with floaters, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, and we're back. It's been over a week. It's been 8 days since I last recorded, and the tank is looking a lot better. Now, there's a lot of these little critters on the glass. It's not going to really focus, but it's all the little white dots. So there's life in here, and there's a good amount of algae still growing on the glass, and the substrate looks perfect for what we want. So hopefully I can check and see if I can add some shrimp. But before we add shrimp, we're going to go through plants. So this is what I've been told is ID'd as an Echinodours Igazu. Probably butchered that name, and it's probably incorrect, I don't know. That's what my mate told me it's ID'd as. So that's this. And I put it up in this little pot here. And this pot hasn't got anything in it yet, I haven't decided. This tank is going to be stocked with Bucephalandra on a rock on this side, and I'm going to put flame moss on this side. So let's do that now. Okay, so that's the flame moss added in the corner. I'm just going to let that grow out the tank. I don't really know how it grows yet. I'm fairly sure it just grows straight up. I never had it before. I bought it online off a guy, so we have that for this tank, and now I'm going to set up the boost rock. If you're wondering what these are, they're just some little pseudomogul fry that I added to clean up some of the little small invertebrates in here for the shrimp. So I ended up deciding to add the Aura crypt that I had. It's a smaller one that I received that doesn't look too good, so I'm hoping that with the soil and the direct light it should come back nice. Okay, so I've always had this red piece of dragonstone that just doesn't match other pieces because the other ones are so much more brown. So we're going to be using that as a boost rock in this corner. I wanted to use lava rock in this setup, but there's no way I'm going to fit the lava rock I wanted through this gap. You try to fit the dragonstone through and we're almost touching the top, so we're going to go with this. Okay, so to do this, we're going to make it super simple. We have our dragonstone piece, and if you watch the unboxing video, the latest one, I got these boost pieces. So I'm going to be setting it up so that the smaller ones on the left side, kind of sitting like that, and the larger ones on the right side, sort of sitting like this, covering the entire rock. We're going to be using super glue for this. If you're going to use super glue, make sure that it has cyanoacrylate adhesive. It has to be made out of that for it to be used in an aquarium. You don't have to buy the expensive stuff. This stuff is really cheap from Kmart. It's like $3 or $4 and you get like 5 or 6 of them, I think. I'll leave a link to all this stuff down in the description, but I'm gonna connect these to the rock now. And this is the finished product of the rock that we're gonna have in the shrimp tank. So you can just see, it's not gonna focus, but you can kind of see how I've just glued down certain sections part the way. 1, 2, the third one's there. On this one, there's 1 and 2. So it's kind of gonna grow in and won't be able to see it, but you might be able to see a little bit of it when you first set it up. Okay, it took me a little while to weave this into the tank, but this is the final look. Obviously the boost is gonna have to pop itself up and look a little better, and the tank needs to clear up a little bit more. So we'll check back in tomorrow and see how we look. So we're 3 days later through the cycle, and we're probably about almost 6 weeks, I think, and everything looks good in the aquarium. So I'm gonna add shrimp today. So the tank is a bit of a green, and there's a lot of this at the base, but I want that for the shrimp to eat. I ended up cleaning up the sponges because they weren't going to keep the tank clean if they were dirty, so I ended up cleaning those out with some tank water. Other than that, I haven't done much. I could tell I needed to do it because when I added the flame moss, you can see it's already starting to get this on it. So hoping the shrimp clear this up, I'm gonna get them out of their current holding tank and start drip acclimating them into this now. Okay, so I picked out 5 to start off with. So both the tanks that I have, the ones I have these guys in, is at 120 TDS, and this tank is at 120 TDS, and they're both at the same degrees because I don't keep heaters in my tanks. They're all on just the room temperature, so I kind of just heat the room to the right temperature, which is normally around between 22 to 24. So I'm gonna add these guys straight away, and shouldn't really need an acclimation because both tanks' parameters are identical. Okay, so gonna add these 5 to the tank first and let them come out on their own terms. So I bought these as, I think it's kind of like a black galaxy tiger slash blue bolt culls, because I wanted to try out different shrimp. So it's kind of like a blue bolt Mosura on these two. You can see straight away that they're not worried about tank parameters. They're straight going at all of the food that I've got in here for them. On the walls too. Great science, guys. So I'm gonna see if I can round up the rest and get them in here. Okay, so every single shrimp that I'm fairly sure I have is in, and you can take a look at some of them now, if the camera would even focus. So got some different types. We've got Mosura blue bolts, which are these types. Then there's kind of just like blue bolts, sort of blue steels. And then these are all kind of black galaxy tiger culls. So what the types are from here, God knows. There's a red sort of red bolt kind of vibe over there, but I think it's more like a red pinto. I don't know a crazy amount about Caridina, so I would like you guys to let me know what you guys think these are. Now I totally understand that some creators on YouTube do these sort of tanks their own way, and they wait like a couple months, probably 2 months for cycles and stuff. I've also seen people say you can wait a week or 2, so I don't really know. I kind of went just about in between, but a bit over. We waited about 6 weeks for the cycle, just over 6.5 weeks for it. So yeah, like it depends on how you guys want to do it, but I'm fairly sure that this tank is more than ready for these guys, and I'm hoping that they start breeding soon. It's winter in Australia at the moment, so I'm not expecting much breeding, but I also don't think I want to add a heater. Let me go, if you guys could let me know if a heater would be smart in this tank, please let me know, that'd be great. But other than that, some tank suggestions would be recommended. I'd love to hear from you guys and what you guys would think could be added to this tank. Some things obviously need to grow in, like these two. That's a bit battered up, but it's slowly starting to come back. And the Igazu hasn't really started to root yet. I only just added all the plants to this tank, so everything has to really grow in. But I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I don't really do Caridina shrimp much. This is my real first try at it. I had another tank that I cycled for these to hold on to them before I could do the main cycle, which is the smaller tank on the side here, which is what they were all in for a little bit. Probably a couple weeks they were in there, and the tank was fully cycled for them. But now I can get them into this tank and they're a lot happier. Okay, so this is the finished setup. So it's fairly basic: a single boost rock, some flame moss, a bit of Aura Crypt, and Igazu sword, or Echinodours, one of the two, and then some shrimp. So if you guys like this kind of setup, feel free to leave a like so that other people can take a look at it and leave their opinion. I'd love you guys to have some positive comments down below on what you guys think, and any great advice would be amazing, as I want to go well with these ones. So I'd appreciate any of that kind of support. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed my approach on a Caridina shrimp tank setup, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye everyone.